Hello and welcome to this video. Today we're going to talk about people can only meet you as deeply as they meet themselves. And so we're going to springboard on some of the topics about non-playing characters. And I really want to dive deep in this video to understand more about that. And, it's not necessarily untrue. There is non-playing characters, but if we dive deep into that, I think we can understand that these people have just, no depth to them because they chose a different route of expansion than you. And why are we allowing that to trigger us? Because we think that everybody should act and be in a certain way. And when they're not, we're taking it personal. And that's the key right there. We cannot take things personal about people that have no depth. We can label that however we want. Non-playing character, narcissist, asleep, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's really about what it's activating and triggering in you and how we can shift our perspective so that we can just be free of it. So this is the best way to describe what everybody's being triggered over right now, that we're not all on the same perspective or the same perception or at the same level of depth. And so the person that's not reacting, or the non-playing character, they're just chilling over there and we're the ones upset, right? So who's the one energetically tripping? A lot of times it's us. So I hope you can understand why this video is important, because we want to get to that place where we don't really care so much about what others think about us, say to us, or feel about us. We just need to stop tripping. So here goes. Okay, so I think it's really important to understand this. I like this concept about non-playing characters because that's really what it's about. So let's just understand that the reason that we might have more friction inside of us or more challenges where we are going deep to try to overcome that and get better as a person, self-awareness, all of those things, those terms are about expansion. We're trying to expand out of our mental patterns, our emotional patterns, our relationships. We're trying to level up, right? Expand. Okay, so that's key, because what's happening is inside of us somewhere, or in our blueprint, however you want to look at it, or how yourself sent the cue when we said, yeah, it's go time. We decided somewhere inside of ourselves, it's time for expansion. We want to get out of our old patterns. I almost said genetics because it is kind of genetically derivative, but it's also, it's a whole lot of stuff. But either way, we want to grow. We want to get to healthy places. We want to, expand beyond what our current ceilings are. And so when we set that up inside of ourselves and we start to go deep in ourselves, either you could call it shadow work or, reflection or self-awareness, whatever your jam is, we have to recognize that there are people on this planet that people are labeling non-playing characters that are not choosing that expansion. They're just not. And so, when you are shifting and sorting through the vibrations and the emotional patterns and the thought systems and the actions and the people that you don't want to be around anymore, what tends to happen is you start to get angry because they're not leveling up with you or they're not expanding with you. And then you're trying to tell them about themselves or, make them grow with you because you don't want to just let it go. And that's really the bottom line. A lot of times we entangle with these non-playing characters or these people that don't want to expand or sleep, unconscious, whatever you want to call it, because we want them to come with us. Let's just keep it real. Because if we just didn't care, there's a million people in the world and about 5 of them we really care about and we're entangling with in this way, just for conceptual understanding. It's because we want them to treat us in a certain way. We want them to talk to us in a certain way. We want them to be consistent. We want them to, get healthy with us. So that's our desire, right? So be with me. I don't want to get too woo-woo in this video, but I want you to understand one thing. This internal war that causes when people aren't being stand up to you or conscious in the relating with you or consistent with you, and you are letting them make you engage with them in your own toxic way because you just want so desperately for them to see themselves. And that's the thing. This dynamic right there, you're not seeing yourself. And so this video isn't, and as I've said many times on this channel, this isn't beating up what we've previously done. It's even when we become aware of it, it's not to hate that part of ourselves. It's just to recognize that that's what we've been doing, and we love that part of ourselves, and we value ourselves with that pattern so that we can start to see it in a more accepting way. And then we can move into, oh, I'm doing this because I feel some sort of fear or some sort of resistance to my own expansion. Okay. And so what we just have to recognize is that the non-playing characters, that is their lane. I think that is the entirely best perspective, because we're all right. We have a right to our perspectives. But I think that's the right perspective to have, to start to realize, like, why am I tripping that this person won't change or grow? Why am I expecting, remember, expectations the root cause of all suffering. Why am I expecting them to value me or see me or be the higher vibrational patterns with me when I'm barely clawing my way out of them? And then I'm letting them suck me into something I'm not proud of. And I hope that this video can help you understand maybe it's not their time. And so you're tripping about the wrong thing. With love and compassion for yourself, you have to realize I'm tripping for something that I can't control. And the only thing I should be concerned or acknowledging is my behavior regarding this. It is what keeps us stuck. Bam. Okay, so I think it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. Why the hell are we having a hard time? Why is these people in our lives? As we start to grow and expand, we recognize that everything is not what we want. It's what we are. It's attracted to us. And so you have to understand that that person that you're shadow boxing with to wake up and staying in the darkness with them when you do that, because if they're triggering you, then you are not expanding in whatever it is they're triggering you in. And so their role in your life is to not expand. We have to have the yin and the yang, the unexpanded people in our lives, or the ones that are running the old patterns that we're trying to claw our way out of, are important and key because they're helping us feel and instigate the desire to expand out of it. Sit with that one for a second. They are supposed to stay this way. Dead on. And so when so expansion is flow, and non-playing characters, they're in a state of not flowing. They're in what I would call a resistant to any expansion state. And so what's happening is there's still a part of us that needs to get out of a resistance within ourselves. So we're attracting somebody that's showing us that part of ourselves that's still resistant to letting it go and just expanding anyway. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? So we're attracting, we can be 90% self-aware and enlightened, if that's what you want to call it, conscious, super conscious about everything, and we're not triggered. But then there's this thing, and it's usually relating with other people, especially like romantic connections, or because we want to make people see because we don't want to lose them or whatever that is. And so we continue to loop with these people in a pattern that we're meant to expand out of. I know, and I'm just saying it because, man, I did that for a long time. Because of this topic right here. Why do we do it? Because we think that they are ready, or they should expand with us. They should be doing better. They should acknowledge the way they're treating me is crap. They should acknowledge they're toxic. They should this, should. But no, they're only reflecting a part of you that's keeping you in this non-expansion resistant place. And the longer you do it with them, the harder it's going to be to break free. So stop now. So let's go into how do we stop? So this is where we get to the hard part. And everybody, trust me, I've coached so many people. I've been doing this for a really long time. I've heard every excuse, and I don't care. This is the answer. You have to be able to let them do the things that they do in their patterns, because they're a non-playing character. They're not expanding. So they're only, if you want to envision the video game, where when the end of the video game comes and you're about to win, all they're doing is standing there walking into a wall because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to expand, and you're still going to go. And that character that's just walking into the wall and doesn't know what to do next till you restart the game, that's who you're fighting with. You should treat me better. You should have texted me back. Why are you liking other girls' pictures? Why are this, that? Do you not see that they're in a pattern and they can't do anything else until they choose expansion? And you're tripping because they don't choose it? No. I would like to give a shout out to somebody that gave a really good metaphorical story about this. What was his name? Flynn Skidmore. So he had said, like, imagine a river is going down a mountain, and you know that that river took a long time to start flowing and creating this cut through the rocks for the water to flow with ease down this mountain. So it took probably millions of years, maybe even a billion. And what we have to understand about expansion is it took that river a long time, that water a long time to cut through that rock to be able to easily get down. You know, before it was probably just like all over, just spreading out. But now it has created a defined area down the mountain to flow with ease. And so what he said is it took a long time to evolve to that place. And now somebody looking from a bird's eye view at what this water is doing and not understanding its evolution and what it's doing in a slow, delayed way might be like, why did the water even go that way and take that slow right over there? Why didn't it just stay in the stream this way? And that is literally what we're doing when we judge others. We're literally over here talking about the stream of consciousness that's coming into certain people and animating them to do certain things a certain way. We're thinking that we get their evolution and they shouldn't be doing it that way. We don't know where we are on our own soul's journey, much less others. For all we know, they might be cutting through one of the biggest badass patterns in their lives. And it seems to us like the slow lane, like the water that's going off a little bit this way, but maybe it's trying to cut a bigger stream in the rock, which will take 1,000 years. But they know that the stream knows, if we could talk to it, that the water at the top is getting bigger and bigger as the ice caps melt. And so it's going to need a bigger, avenue out. And so it's starting, what would look to us stupid as hell. Just stay in the fast lane, but at a soul level, its higher self, it knows that it needs to create something more, and it might look stupid and slow. I love that analogy because we don't really understand, but we can just say they're non-playing characters right now, and who knows what the hell is going on inside of them. But what really matters is understanding that they're reflecting your own resistance, because your resistance is why don't you just let them be? And so the long challenge, or the long tangent I went on, is so you can understand the one thing that you have to do to get back in flow and not let this person do this is find compassion for them. So I hope you can understand from that analogy that you don't know what their path is and why they can't grow right now in the way that you want them to grow, or the way that you're trying to grow, or they can't change, because you don't know what their stream of consciousness is doing for them. And it's none of your business. That's what I always told myself to get through it. Why is he treating me that way? Oh, it's none of my freaking business why. I need to worry about me and why I'm letting it trigger me and why I can't let it go, because that's my resistance. So anybody that you're calling a non-playing character or asleep or any of these terms, narcissist concepts you've come up with, really, all that matter is, why can't you just say it's none of my business and move the freak on, or just accept them the way they are? And I'll tell you why. Because you're not shifting to what the universe wants you to shift to, and that's the higher energies. Compassion, love for the worst. You have to, because it's not for them. Yeah, and they're meant to trigger you in this way. Maybe their slow lane is helping you realize, and it's important. Okay, so now we're going to get to the nitty gritty. So I hope you understand what's happening here. We're meant to move on from it. And if it were that easy, because I gave you an analogy, then half of these soul contracts and connections wouldn't even exist. But it's not easy. And so let's just try to understand. So if we have to be able to look at a person that's triggering the heck out of us into this resistance and this ickiness inside of us, and we just want them to change so we feel better, what is this meant to teach us? It's meant to teach us that this is inside of us, the lower dimensional shadow energies that are out of balance and they're causing us turmoil, and we want to go to joy, peace, love. And the way that we do that is understand that there is a belief, a concept, a judgment, however you want to look at that, a mental construct that we live by that the universe wants us to let go of. That's expansion. It's mental and emotional energy that we need to get out of something that's stuck and expand. So me telling you, hey, just get rid of that belief and then you'll be done. No, you got to work on it, because you can't just shift to compassion for somebody that's triggering the heck out of you. You have to kind of uncover and realign yourself with a reason to find compassion. And usually you can do that through figuring out your judgment. And I know there's a lot of people that talk about like mirror work and things like that. I don't really want to get down with those modalities. I just want you to try to understand, what is my judgment and what is the belief behind it that makes me want to judge somebody because I don't understand the bigger picture about them. And that's expansion. You're taking a limited belief about somebody that you should not like, and you're expanding it to something else. So let's find another example for that. Okay, so let's say you have a guy that doesn't respond to your text for a week, and you're like, this dude, what the heck? I thought we were doing really good, and all of a sudden he's ghost. And then all of a sudden he hits you up and he says something like, oh, can I get a lap dance this weekend? And you're like, this mofo just totally ghosted me, and now he's acting like an F-boy. What in the world? And there it is. Now you're triggered into turmoil and you want to snap out on this dude and tell him about himself and really give it to him, because for the last week you've been feeling like crap about this. So with the example I gave you, you have to go into what is the belief, what is the judgment. And I'm going to tell you 99% of the time, it's that you have placed a value in getting external validation from men, and now you're in duality with that. When they do validate you, you feel good, and when they don't, you don't. I mean, that's just the rudimentary core thing. I mean, it could just be that, your belief that men are all toxic is bringing these toxic men in, and it's helping you to understand that it's just because I've been aligning with toxic men. I don't just stop the hamster wheel. So as soon as that dude would hit you up, you could be like, you know what? This just isn't working for me. I'm sorry. For me, I need somebody that's a little more consistent, a little more depth, a little more, and you have compassion when you're saying that. Unfortunately, that's not the scenario. We're in a very low vibration. We're spewing crap, this and that. So these connections are helping you not to get triggered by other people's behavior and staying stuck with them, because unfortunately, a lot of people end up forming more and more momentum in that pattern, and then get in relationships and have kids and the whole shebang. And it's like, from the beginning, you should have been like, you know what, this isn't for me. But the minute you try to change them or get them to see their behavior, you're starting that momentum going with a non-plane character. And it just gets worse, because once you start, then you're like, oh, I got it. I'm invested now. And this goes for everything. This is, if a boss talks to you like crap, you find compassion in your heart for them, and the universe will provide you compassionate bosses. But unfortunately, you are I want to say shadow boxing, but one of my coaching clients recently told me, I don't get that shadow boxing thing that you say. And really what that means is you're trying to tell somebody some enlightened stuff and they're in the shadow, they're in the dark, they're not trying to expand. And so it's useless. Okay, so I just want to wrap this up with some real concrete, not just talking at you, but some application that you can utilize and start to really stop dancing with people that are non-playing characters. They're not interested in expansion. They want to stay in their patterns, and you got to stop taking that personal. And how do you do that? You find a belief within yourself that you can find compassion for people that are stuck in resistance to expansion. Because trust me, if you're doing this with somebody, it's because you're in resistance to expansion and you're projecting that they're keeping you there. That's the woo-woo thing I wanted to avoid saying, but it's the truth, y'all. If you really thought about it, I'm staying with this person, mad that they won't change and stand on the things that they tell me, but you're telling them if they don't change that you'll leave them, so you're not standing on the things you say to them. So it is a conundrum. And emotionally, we're very tied into this. The momentum of that is very strong when we're triggered. And so then we keep doing the shadow boxing with them. They are asleep. They are not going to expand. They're going to tell you what they want to hear. And you're going to get to good. And then it's going to go bad. And let's get to good. And let's go bad. And you're on that hamster wheel. And that is your non-playing character because you're just running a pattern. Doesn't mean that 90% of your life you're not super enlightened, but this one thing might be holding you. And you got to let it go. You got to face the reasons why. You don't think that there's better available for you. You don't think if you start choosing compassion and love for the people that are asleep and you want and desire more and you stay in the feelings of high vibration that you won't be provided with your core value that you're now trying to expand into? Hell yeah. But in relationships, this is the core thing that's stopping expansion. And that is why the universe is super serving up extremely challenging soul connections. So this is another way of talking about it. We could label it what we want. Twin flame, soulmate, catalyst, all that. It doesn't matter. This is the work. And if they're going to expand and level up with you, they're going to do it by your example of letting it go and expanding and leveling up. Not by running the pattern with them that's keeping you in what I would call non-playing character, which just means you're just running patterns, like walking into the wall in the video game because you don't know how to go past that, and then you'll just restart at the beginning. Okay, so end tangent about, shadow boxing with people that don't want to expand, these non-playing characters. Alchemize the energy within you. Don't entangle. Don't say a word. And then once you cycle through the feelings and you start expanding to what could be possible if you let this go over and over again, before you know it, you're free. And I would like to add, you would never allow that again after you finally clawed your way out of that pattern. You would recognize it in a person, and they would come and try to run the same old pattern. And it's almost like that at the end. And that's what I think they call like a catalyst twin flame, because after you've gotten through a real strong karmic connection, then you'll have somebody come in. And this is just for mental concepts. This isn't concrete, but then you'll have somebody come in that'll kind of test you on that. And that catalyst can really screw you up because you're thinking you've evolved. But immediately when that person comes in, they start repeating some of the behaviors that you just went through with your karmic, you could say, hey, look, I don't like the way this makes me feel. So if you continue this behavior, I'm just not doing it. And then you got to stand on it. Let it go. And then it's usually on the other side of that you get somebody who's going to be like, oh, wow. Oh, yeah, conscious relationship. Remind me of that when I do that, because I don't even see that in myself. This is how we grow. And that's the expansion partner you want. But you're just shadowboxing with the non-playing characters. And then we all do it. So I hope this video helps you. And I want nothing but everybody to get that level up and expansion. And so if you like this, please like, share, subscribe. Until next time, take care.